This is CBN NewsWatch.
Thank you so much for joining us for CBN Newswatch. I'm Ephraim Graham. I want to begin this half hour in the Middle East, where protests and a general strike in Israel today happen as the country is hit with anger and grief after Hamas executed 6 hostages, including 23-year-old American-Israeli Hersh Goldberg-Polin, as Israeli forces were closing in. An autopsy found the hostages were shot at close range several times. Chuck Holton brings us the story. He's reporting from Jerusalem.
A few hours ago, we informed the families that the bodies of their loved ones had been located by IDF troops in an underground tunnel in Rafah. According to our initial assessment, they were brutally murdered by Hamas terrorists shortly before we reached them.
The nation is mourning as 6 hostages, including American citizen Hersh Goldberg-Polin, were found murdered in Gaza. Just a few days before this tragic discovery, Hersh's mother, Rachel, stood at the Gaza border shouting a blessing to her son.
May God bless you and keep you. May God shine his face upon you and be gracious to you. And may God give you peace.
The brutal killing sparked outrage. And today, protesters are planning a nationwide strike as some Israelis blame Prime Minister Netanyahu for not being willing to approve a ceasefire deal. But Netanyahu says a deal must have acceptable terms, and Israel must be able to stop Hamas from attacking Israel again.
The fact that Hamas is continuing to perpetrate atrocities like those it carried out on October 7th requires us to do everything so that it will be unable to perpetrate these atrocities again.
Amidst the grief, Israeli children returned to school on Sunday.
Mixed emotions. On one hand, we are happy to be back at some routine. On the other hand, we can still hear the booms in the background. We hope, at least for the kids, for some normal routine.
On Sunday, a drive-by shooting near Hebron left 3 Israeli police officers dead. IDF forces tracked down the shooter, who was killed in a subsequent gun battle. The terrorist was a member of the Palestinian Presidential Guard, a force that receives significant U.S. funding and training. Sunday's incident raises questions about the effectiveness of U.S.-funded security programs in the region. Israeli officials also say Hamas cannot be trusted.
I believe the whole attitude towards Hamas must change by the world community and by the interlocutors, by Arab nations, by intermediaries. They all have to understand that Hamas is not a partner to anything.
As Israel navigates these multiple crises, attention remains focused on the hostages still in captivity. Israel reports that 101 hostages remain in Gaza, with only 66 believed to be alive. The ongoing challenge is securing their release and safe return. Reporting from Israel, I'm Chuck Holton for CBN News.
Back here at home on this Labor Day holiday, at least 10,000 hotel workers in 8 cities are on strike. Contract talks for workers from Hyatt, Hilton, Marriott, and Omni fell through, and they're asking for wage increases, better health care, and reversal of staffing cuts made during the pandemic, including the restoration of daily room cleaning.
Right now is about better living wages for hotel workers, a better health insurance, a better pension, also to fix the do not disturb issues in housekeeping, where hotels are charging the guests to not get their rooms cleaned, and then also severance pay and hiring. We're asking for a $10 raise, and even with that $10 raise that we're asking for in the next 4 years, by inflation numbers, we would still be considered poor as a hotel worker.
More workers could join the strike. It's expected to last 2 to 3 days in each city. Hyatt and Hilton responded to the strike, saying they're committed to reaching a deal with workers and committed to serving customers during any work stoppage. Ricky Pearsall, the San Francisco 49ers first-round pick in this year's NFL draft, who was shot in the chest during a robbery Saturday, was released from the hospital Sunday afternoon. Dale Hurd is following this story.
23-year-old 49ers wide receiver Ricky Pearsall was wounded in an attempted mugging in San Francisco's Union Square after an autograph signing.
He was walking alone when a suspect approached him and attempted to commit an armed robbery using a gun.
Police say a 17-year-old suspect demanded Pearsall's Rolex watch. The gunman was also shot in the chest during the incident and is in stable condition. Pearsall's mother, Erin Pearsall, posted on Facebook that while her son was shot, the bullet exited his back and did not hit any vital organs. She said, "Update on my baby boy. First and foremost, I want to thank God for protecting my baby boy. He is extremely lucky. God shielded him. My son was spared today by the grace of God." Ricky Pearsall posted on X last year, "I'm back." And then Pearsall quoted Isaiah 30:18. "The Lord longs to be gracious to you. Therefore he will rise up to show you compassion. For the Lord is a God of justice. Blessed are all who wait for him." And even though city statistics show the crime has dropped in San Francisco, the attack has again put a focus on safety and criminal activity in the city. Dale Hurd, CBN News.
Between available homes and potential buyers in America, there's a shortage of nearly 20 million homes. We explore the affordable housing crisis in our nation. Stay with us. You're watching CBN News Watch. Welcome back to CBN News Watch. Owning your own home is a central part of the American dream. Today, though, skyrocketing housing costs have many families living a nightmare. The shortage of affordable housing is forcing them to choose between basic needs and a place to lay their heads. CBN's Brody Carter takes a closer look at the roots of the problem and solutions that could bring some relief.
This house behind me is listed for about $600,000. And while many high-end houses are being built at a steady pace, millions of Americans are struggling. Many low-income families spend more than half of their paycheck on rent, leaving them barely able to afford even the most basic housing.
The rent is ridiculous. I don't know what's going on in the world.
Experts blame a number of reasons behind this and expect it to get worse.
We are in a housing crisis. There's hundreds of thousands of people in this country who have no home at all.
A record 653,000 Americans experience homelessness any given night, a stark reminder of people living on the margins, according to Will Fish with the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities.
There's many more millions who are paying very high shares of their income for rent and are often just one setback away from being evicted and losing their homes.
8 years ago, I could have been paying for a one-bedroom apartment like $900. Now it's double. $1,500.
For others like Sharice Ryan, a student juggling school and work on the side, the burden of rising rent is a bit overwhelming.
It's affecting me because I'm in school right now and I'm not working. So, trying to be in school and do a little bit of Ubering to pay the bills.
Many cities becoming luxury cities where the average cost of housing is $1 million or more.
The Cato Institute's Vanessa Brown-Calder explains that's also caused rent prices to rise much faster than people's incomes. For example, some studies show since the year 2000, rent is up by more than 50%, while average incomes have risen by only a third of that over the same time frame. She also notes construction costs and zoning restrictions add to the affordable housing puzzle.
What's really happening here is that we are just not able to build enough housing. Even with higher construction levels, we're not able to build enough housing to make up for the big hole that we're already in.
That hole she references is a shortage of nearly 20 million homes, widening the gap between available homes and potential buyers.
I do think that the private market is the solution to housing affordability issues. And of course, the private market can only be unleashed in order to solve those problems if the government gets out of the way and removes some of this unnecessary red tape and restrictive regulation. So I do think that, we need policymakers leading the charge to reform government regulations.
Certain states are taking a lead, making significant changes in reforming housing policies. Legislators in both red and blue states have moved to modernize zoning laws, streamline the residential planning process, and updated standards for home building and design. Here in Virginia Beach, a move toward workforce housing. This land here is designated by the city to help blue-collar families, including police officers and firefighters, afford a place to live in this competitive market. And despite any criticism, this approach exceeds city zoning regulations and frees up land once zoned for farming. Progress is being made. There are also private efforts like Kingdom Builder Group in Phoenix, stepping up in faith to help.
We want them to see we're different. Some people know by the name that we're different. We're trying to build the kingdom through providing housing and really just showing people the love of Christ in all that we do, how we treat our customers, how we treat our subcontractor partners.
Partnering with Boxable, a group designing prefabricated homes, the group focuses on affordable construction for low-income families and veterans. They also collaborate with churches and veteran organizations to create sustainable projects that support the city's spiritual and social needs.
The current zoning ordinances in all municipalities across the country are kind of antiquated. You know, I could do 20 units in 6 months if the government would do the zoning and, get out of the way. We could do, a lot more units.
As housing costs likely continue to rise, so will the need for affordable working-class housing. The hope is reforms will expand beyond the state level and private market to bring Americans in need closer to the dream of stable, affordable housing. Brody Carter, CBN News.
Still ahead, 70% of this company's employees have criminal convictions, and jobs are not all the business provides for these former felons. See the mission behind Nehemiah Manufacturing. You're watching CBN News Watch. Stay with us. Welcome back to CBN News Watch. 1 in 6 Americans has a felony record, which often makes it difficult to get a job. Yet there's a company in Cincinnati that wants to hire people with a criminal past. Today, it's become one of the largest and most successful second chance companies in the country. CBN Charlene Aaron has the story.
70% of Nehemiah Manufacturing employees have criminal convictions. Thanks to the company's Second Chance program, however, many have the opportunity to build a better future for themselves, their families, and the community.
I am a 2-time felon who was struggling to find a job until I came across Nehemiah.
I came to Nehemiah a week after I was released from a 5.5-year prison sentence.
Since 2009, Nehemiah Manufacturing has brought jobs back to Cincinnati's inner city by licensing and marketing Procter & Gamble products such as Tide, Febreze, and Downy. CEO Dan Meyer has over 30 years' experience in the industry. He sees the company's mission as more than giving people a job, pointing to the Bible as inspiration for the company's name and mission.
It was an Old Testament prophet called by God to rebuild Jerusalem 1 stone, 1 brick at a time. And when we wanted to come in the inner city and start this company close to 15 years ago, it was to help those in most need.
At first, some of the Second Chance hires would work a few days or weeks and then disappear. Meyer then had an aha moment and brought in social workers to help remove barriers for employees he now sees as family.
We have transportation program, not only in the near term on a bus line, but we work with nonprofits to get our family members their first car. We have housing. We have our own Nehemiah properties where we charge quarter of the market rate and furnish it.
The company's holistic approach, which includes spiritual wellness and continuing education, has led to a thriving workforce.
As I started moving up in the company, I started to believe in myself. Fast forward 9 years, I'm the director of operations here, in charge of about 100 people here at Nehemiah that report to me.
Kristen Schumacher serves as the company's chief manufacturing officer.
We have some family members that have spent 20 plus years in prison.
Yes.
They would have never thought about being able to achieve a car, let alone a job, to be able to have the support that they have here. They never thought that that would even be possible. And so, Dan, like I said, Dan could speak more to the 8 pillars, but overall, what I would say, what I see with those 8 pillars is that our family members feel supported like they haven't ever before. And that translates into loyalty, that translates into wanting to work very hard for the purpose that they have here in Nehemiah.
All reasons that caught the attention of former NFL quarterback Tim Tebow and his wife, Demi Lee.
Nehemiah Manufacturing is a special place. When we had the privilege and opportunity to go for the first time, that's what really caught our eye and our heart. Meeting the people and hearing their stories, but then also seeing the way they were treated. And when we saw that, we thought this is something that we want to be a part of.
Being a part of the story of Nehemiah is so much more than just being an ambassador for
another company. It's about a higher purpose, and that purpose is people.
A purpose Meyer believes is also good for business.
I always say this is capitalism done the right way. Treating people with love, dignity, and respect will build a better company and a better bottom line.
And to be here and get hired on has been a true success.
Charlene Aaron, CBN News.
Welcome back to CBN News Watch. Husband and wife duo Kenny and Claire Hilliard's musical journey began in 2005, and along the way came some serious challenges. Doctors diagnosed Kenny with a brain tumor. That health battle, though, has given birth to music. The project is called Upon the Storm.
In the unfathomable minds of ever-failing skill, he treasures up his bright design and works his sovereign will.
So the title of your new album, Upon the Storm, it resonates with both of you in a really big way. Kenny, tell me more about that.
So, you know, before our musical journey started, after a number of health issues, I was diagnosed with a brain tumor. God in His mercy got us to a place where we could have it removed in 2016, but my health continued to fail, and eventually I was diagnosed with a genetic disorder and just a number of things. But that time of struggle and difficulty reminded us of the importance of music that comes alongside people who are suffering and reminds them who God is, what He has done. The fact that He's merciful even in trial and difficulty, and that we're people who need mercy.
So Claire, as a wife, how were you able to endure throughout this entire process?
The Lord, just in hope in Him. He is who He says He is, and He's revealed Himself to us through His Word, and through that, clinging to Christ in the midst of the everyday.
What do you think God has taught you both when it comes to pulling through challenges?
One, communication.
Yeah.
Frowning providence, He hides a smiling face.
It's hard for me to communicate to Kenny sometimes that what's going on is hard and hurts. He knows that it can be hard on me at times, but we've found that it's much better to talk through it and communicate. That's the first thing that comes to my mind.
Yeah, I think one thing we had to learn early on is, 1 Corinthians 13, when it talks about love, talks about the importance of thinking the best of one another. And in our sinful proclivities, in our dark times, we naturally go towards thinking the worst of the other person, especially when there's not communication. And so learning, you know what? I need to remember that I've been with this woman for 19 years. I know who she is. She's probably not like I'm wanting to think she is. And just reminding myself of truth and thinking the best until there's reason to think that there's something wrong.
Blind unbelief is sure to err.
So we mentioned the project is called Upon the Storm. What can people expect when listening?
I will say I'm really excited about it.
And He will make
First and foremost, we wanted it to point to the gospel, because that is, like I said, what we all need all the time. And especially even, of course, in suffering, to remember Christ and what He's done on our behalf. And so, in a way, we've modeled the album off of that, starting with the first song being God Moves Upon the Storm, who God is. So it's songs personally to come alongside the listener, but also we've made it our goal to make these songs be songs that we can sing congregationally together. Between Bright Joys and Clouds of Doubt is one of my favorites. And that is something that we intentionally wanted the church to sing in unity. And then also We Believe is another congregational song. It was inspired by the Apostles' Creed. Again, hopefully an anthem that the church can sing together.
I think our first album was targeted at coming alongside people who were suffering. And with the second one, we wanted to be like, okay, you're suffering, it's difficult. Don't forget that God is merciful and that He loves to show mercy to those who repent, who come to Him in their mess, in their struggle, in their difficulty. And so we wanted to kind of carry you from there into this. And it's beautiful doing it congregationally. The Lord calls us to sing together because I know this guy's struggle. I know what he's dealing with, and to hear him singing the gospel, I need that.
Lights upon the storm.
Time now for your Monday Motivation. I leave you with this thought on this Labor Day here in the United States. Small steps lead to great progress when you consistently move forward. So fix your focus on what's ahead, not what's behind you. Where you focus your energy enlarges. So what sense does it make to enlarge your past failures, past mistakes, past hurts? They are just that, in the past. Leave them there. Well, that will do it for this edition of CBN NewsWatch. Remember, you can always find more of our programs on the CBN News Channel. You can find them there at any time or online. The address is cbnnews.com. Take a moment. Let us know what you think about the stories you've seen here today. You can email us, newswatch@cbn.com. You can also reach out and touch us on Facebook, Instagram, and X, formerly known as Twitter. We'll see you back here same time tomorrow. Goodbye and God bless.